Good afternoon and welcome to NZV8 TV, the final show in this series. Now we're very serious today as we have received our first ever complaint. Not from the Broadcasting Standards Authority, but an even higher power, the NZV8 chat forum. We spelt well-known drag racing identity Bob Wilton's name wrong, even though it was written right down the side of his car. Okay, we're stupid, we suck. Sorry Bob. Still friends? And still NZV8 TV. Brought to you by Smith's Group, suppliers of leading automotive brands. Newlon, Maguire's, House of Colour, Spice Hecker, and a whole lot of other stuff to keep your V8 shiny, cool and fast. Not quite standard? Well, neither are NAC Insurance. They understand. NAC.co.nz. If you've been watching the show at all, you'll know this guy. Australian muscle car racing royalty Paul Stubber brought his Camaro to New Zealand to take on the Kiwis. And speaking of muscle car racing, remember the horrific crash at the Eastern Creek Muscle Car Masters? Well, we caught up with the legends at Moselle Panel and Paint to see how the repairs are coming on. The drag racing season is in full flight. We took a look at a seriously bad and black Impala, caught up with double amputee racer and generally all-round inspirational guy Tony Christianson, and we go on board for some really interesting looks at what it really takes to get a drag car down the strip and find out just how fast an onboard camera can really go. Welcome to the show, and as you can see, summer is finally here in full force. Just in time for this, our last episode in this season of NZV8 TV, which is going to leave you free to get out there and get to all the motorsport events, the drag racing, the circuit racing, the speedway, the club cruises, everything that's going on with cool cars around New Zealand over summer. But don't fret, if you can't make it all, get the magazine and read all about it. And in the meantime, we'll also have our cameras out and about over summer, capturing all the action to bring you everything that is cool in the world of V8s in New Zealand in our third season of NZV8 TV. Let's get on with the show, and Merry Christmas. Throughout this series of NZV8 TV, we've really enjoyed bringing you all the coverage from the Muscle Car Masters in Australia, and from the feedback, it seems you've really enjoyed watching it. One name that repeatedly came up during that coverage was Australian Paul Stubber, a leading name in Australian muscle car racing. We've learnt this about him. He's a bloody good guy. He's got great taste in cars, and he loves to drive sideways. And now he's driving here.
The crowd have generally come over after a couple of races and said we've enjoyed that, and I guess we're not making a fortune out of it, so if the crowd enjoys it, I think we must be doing something right. Well, as I said, I started in go-karting, and we did some dirt karts for 2 years and then asphalt karts, so I had a little bit of a nudge at both forms of that. And then actually that kept us interested in speedway. I jumped into historic touring car racing after go-karts in Perth and raced an E.H. Holden, the old 3-speed on the column with drum brakes all round. That taught us a fair bit because it never steered or did the same thing twice. So then we did a few years in Super Sedans and sprint cars. We've also raced, which you enjoy over here, the super trucks. We've had a few meetings in that, and I was okay until I actually did a better lap time than the owner of the truck, because he never asked me back. We contained the car over, and we ran here in 07, and we did 3 race meetings at Pukekohe here and Taupo. Met a great bunch of people, and Matt and Pat, my crew, and myself, the team, said we've done enough racing in Oz, we might try something different, and so we've come back this season to do the full season with Central Muscle Cars. Our historic rules over home means this car runs with drum brakes on the back. That can be pretty exciting, so certainly the change that I've enjoyed here has been a lot more freedoms with the engine. We've got probably another 200 horsepower. And we've got good brakes on the car now and a bit more rubber, so that all adds up to more excitement. Well, it's got a good, genuine Chevy Camaro motor. We're in the 600 to 700 department.
It's very tasty.
Yeah, no, it's plenty, and it sort of wants to be revved pretty hard, so it sounds pretty neat down the straight for the spectators. Oh, it's certainly a handful. Even though we've got bigger tyres and we run back in Oz, it's got plenty more horsepower. So, you look at the cars that we're running here, they've all got between 600 and 700 horsepower, and they're running on dot tyres, so that equates to a handful. Probably the only thing that's close to its original is the 4-speed transmission and the 12-bolt Chevy diff. So, honestly, most of the cars here, it's still got like a leaf spring rear, it's still got the original A-arm suspension on the front, so whilst we've been able to hot it up a bit and make it a bit adjustable, these are still pretty much based around a good 70s, 60s type muscle car. No, I think we've got what we want, mate, really. It's a 69 Camaro to go racing with, so, you know, we'd just build a better and faster one of these. That's why it's such a hit, the Central Muscle cars. When it goes to Eastern Creek, the cars come out, they're angrier, they've got bigger tyres and more motor and more noise. So, yeah, the Aussie guys are a bit jealous. They're jealous I'm over here having as much fun too, don't you worry. Jason Richard was driving this car, and, you know, it was nice that I could actually sit back and have a bit of a watch. And I certainly remember that he made one of his classic starts. He went from 0 to about 5th. And we pay out on him every time he just about stalls his supercar. So, and from there on, he really got the best out of the car. He drove it up, and he just made it look very, very smooth indeed. He ran down Jim Richards, and I think he probably enjoyed that. And then we watched Shane, you know, close in on him towards the end. But it was a terrific race, and one that, you know, Shane actually got up second by only millimetres over Jim Richards. So it was an enjoyable contest, that's for sure. I'm absolutely amazed at some of the quality of the cars I see, both in your magazines here and that come out of the shops and the hot rod scene here. I'd have to say it even seems bigger, you know, per population without a doubt. But I think the quality of the cars here, actually, these guys are a bit more passionate. There's some wonderful cars here, and Oz, you know, probably sometimes we sort of see a lot of the same cars fairly regularly, I suppose, and you've got some damn good ones here, that's for sure. As I said, there's no egos and no, you know, Formula One wannabes. We're all just here because we enjoy the cars, and, you know, one of our favourite sayings in this category is the cars are the stars. These guys have had, you know, like Denny Holman, you know, Chris Amon and Bruce McLaren, and they've set a real path for motorsport in New Zealand, and it's, I'm really pleased to be a part of it. It's a big gig here.
A true champion of the muscle car racing scene, and so cool to see him racing on this side of the Tasman this summer. So make sure you get along to your local track, check out the Central Muscle Cars, and go and say hi to a bloody good bloke, Paul Stubber, and encourage him to get a few more of those Aussies over here. NZV8 magazine Christmas issue. Check out this mental 1,000 horsepower Cuda convertible. The Central Muscle Cars are back on New Zealand tracks with round 1 from Manfield. Power Cruise from Taupo. And with the NZDRA season about to get underway, we go in depth with NZDRA champion Ross Taylor and his championship winning 1957-ish Chev door slammer.